Today is going to be another enormous day in the market, and we need to talk about it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and quick question for you. Which camp are you in? Do you say else, E-L-S-E, or do you say else and put a T in there that shouldn't be there? Let me know down in the comments. All right, guys, I'm going to show you some of the technicals that I've been showing on this channel, some that I showed in my last video, show how they're working out with the market right now and some of the stocks that I've been following, including Bitcoin that's out there. So let me put this up for you first. This is SPY that we're looking at. And on the SPY, yesterday in my video, I said to watch out for this support. We almost got there. The low price on the SPY yesterday, 499.12, and down here at 498 is where we find that Fibonacci. So perhaps off just by a little bit, but man, we're close on that one. In the pre-market hours, we're bouncing a little bit. Watch for that retest on the 50. This blue line, this thin little blue line that you see right here is one of the most critical lines to watch for the market. It's going to tell us a lot more about the direction that we get. A retest and a rejection there could send us down further. Something else that I'm going to show you from the peak of this down to where we're at right now, 4.93% down. We are almost in correction territory from the top to yesterday's low price. We're a little bit shy of that, of course, when we go from close to close on that one. So not quite in correction territory yet for SPY, but certainly getting darn close to that correction territory. Corrections being between 5 and 10% down from the top. So moving over into the Qs, check this out again from the Fibonacci's. As we're looking at it, came down almost once again, just within a few dollars to a few pennies of where we're going to have that for the low price. That low price, 424.90, and then recovering a little bit from there. I actually had a short play out on this using TQQQ against the Qs, and it actually worked out pretty well for me. And I played my stop a little bit too tight. I got stopped out a bit early, so my profit, instead of being closer to 20 to 25%, ended up being 8%. Still a profit over 24 hours time of 8%. I'll take that one. Most likely I'm going to re-enter that play. I am watching to see if we get a nice healthy bounce. And most definitely, just like with SPY, watching that blue line, that 50-day simple moving average, it's going to be hugely indicative of direction for us. So how are we looking in terms of correction for QQQ? Let me grab the ruler here. And again, we'll go from the high price that we had down to the lowest price that we had, down about -5%, -5.4% from top to top when we look at that from peak to peak. And I'll tell you what, let's actually go from close to close on this thing. So let me press escape on that. We'll click on the tool again. And let's actually find where our highest close was. It looks like maybe it was right about here, down to that close down there, -4.63%. So not quite in correction territory in terms of not necessarily high to low from what we've seen recently, but from close to close, man, we're closing in on that 5%. So just keep an eye out for that. And most definitely that blue line, that's going to be absolutely critical for us to watch that one. So if we get rejected off of that one, we could have a much further sell. The momentum on the daily chart is currently down in the bearish territory. We've got to watch for that. Now, Bitcoin, look at the Fibonacci's that I have on this one. Look at that tag that we had going into yesterday at the low price on this one before finding that support, that low price coming in just under 60,000. Bouncing a little bit today. We'll see if we continue to get downward pressure. If we do, the 50% fib is about 56,000 and then down to about 51.6, 51.7. So we'll call it just about $50,000 is where we could see this thing heading. Should we continue to sell off further from where it's at right now, and we have the downward pressure at the moment, that could absolutely happen. We need to watch and see what happens with the markets and definitely risk assets as Bitcoin still falls into that category. I think that it's still leading up to the halving is going to maintain some of that price. Possibly after the halving, we start to see some of that sell, and we're going to have to watch and see if we get that run. Now, the halving today is the 18th of April, so it's in 2 days, maybe even less than 2 days until we hit that halving mark for it. So we're going to have to watch the price, see what happens for us. Enphase, important thing about the technicals here. I said going back to Monday that we broke down out of the lower part of this trend line, we could sell further. Tuesday we did. Well, what happened yesterday? Let's actually go to the hourly chart on this one so you can see a little bit better. So we sold down beneath. We actually came in peekaboo up above this trend line just a little bit and then got rejected. So one of two things could likely happen here as we look at this. One is that we sort of have a bit of a double bottom, in which case we could possibly have that price appreciation. We could still see that golden cross moment on the daily charts. So let's go back out to daily to see what that looks like. There we go. So we could still have that golden cross moment coming in where the 50 and the 200 cross each other. And let me pop that away. Click on that. There we go. Now we can see it a lot better on the screen. So there's the low prices that we have coming in. If we break back up over this, then we have the 50 to take on and the 200, which we failed 1, 2, 3, 4 times to break the 200. And then, well, we just sold off significantly from there. If this bottom holds and we go back up into this trend that we saw here before, into this formation of the ascending triangle, we could see further price appreciation. Now, mind you, if you look at IWM, for instance, that's one that we sold off significantly there as well. And what we need to see for these, if we go into more hard times, this one could suffer, but it could also gain outsized compared to the other indices such as SPY, tracking the SP 500 and QQQ, tracking the Nasdaq 100. So just to keep an eye on that. And for Enphase, it could possibly be that we get a further sell. If we fail to make it back up in here, we should put our eyeballs on $100 per share. If we end up getting rejected here and selling off, if we recover and make it back up into this ascending triangle formation, we can most likely get our golden cross moment, and then we have a significant price appreciation. I'm talking like 20% plus coming out of this. So those are the two things that I'm watching for Enphase. It is one I hold directly in my portfolio, and I continue to dollar cost average over time with it. Also, holding in my portfolio is Tesla, which, man, it's seeing those hard times right now in the pre-market hours. 151.93. How does that compare to our low price that we had going all the way back to April of last year? Well, that low price that we had, if I move my candles a little bit, there we go, so I can actually see that low price on screen, 152.37 is that lowest price that we had between these two candles that's over here. And in the pre-market hours, we're down below that. So we're going to have to see where we open and where we close. But breaking down through this yellow line that we have here, maybe we could possibly see that descent down to that $100 mark. If Tesla earnings coming up on Tuesday of next week, if they don't go as well as we would hope for something like that, we could see that sell. And I think that Tesla making it through this rough patch, as I think a lot of companies are going through a rough patch, especially in automotive overall, Tesla not being anything immune to that. After that rough patch passes, I think that we're going to see significant appreciation. So I kind of, because of the way that I hold Tesla, because of my long-term outlook for Tesla, that $100 mark is welcome, because I think that would be a significant load zone that we didn't think we'd get another shot at, and it's possible that we get there. So being that this is not a swing trade position, but instead a long-term position for me, for Tesla, that I continue to dollar cost average, I'm excited about these opportunities that we have right here. And I do believe that after the pain passes, Tesla's going to have some very bright and green days coming down in its future. And these lean times are where we're going to find that true innovation coming out of a company like Tesla when it hits that next part of its S-curve. All right, finally for Nvidia, here's the big one that I've been waiting to talk about. For Nvidia, check this out. We tagged the 50-day SMA yesterday. So that's huge for us, because finding support right there, especially if we bounce off of that, we could get significant price appreciation coming off of that one. As long as the market stays about where it's at, or if the market recovers, that $1,000 price prediction that I have up here becomes a whole lot more likely. If the market continues to sell off, and now mind you, big tech earnings are what you want to watch for this. So I'm talking Microsoft, Meta, Google. We want to hear them, see if they're still name dropping Nvidia for us, see if they're telling us what they're building out infrastructure wise for that. So listening to those earnings calls for how they continue to build, how they continue to invest, is there any sign of slowing down? Those are all things that we want to watch. They're going to be huge indicators for us for the direction of Nvidia stock as well. And they're coming up probably next week, if I had to guess. Let's look at that. MSFT, for example. There we go. And the earnings date for this, Thursday the 25th. There you go. And if we go to Meta, Meta's got their earnings on Wednesday the 24th. And if we go to Google, Google's got their earnings coming up on Thursday the 25th. So mid to late next week, going to be absolutely critical for us for Nvidia stock. So for you Nvidia fans out there, don't underestimate just how huge that was that we found support at the 50-day. Now, mind you, if we break down through that 800 is that next spot that we're looking for support. And I think that would also be critical support for us. And honestly, we break down through that 50, we could possibly even see an engulfing candle the next day that would send us back the other way, because this is going to be one of the more highly anticipated earnings, which doesn't come out until about a month after all the rest of big tech. And that's because their fiscal calendar puts them about a month after for their quarter close than what we have for the rest of the big tech that we have that follows more of the regular 12-month calendar that we have from January to December. For them, they go February through January. So we're going to have to be watchful for that. And yeah, that's what I have for you in this video, talking about what we have in the markets, and then what we have Enphase, Tesla, Bitcoin, Nvidia. And I'll tell you what, guys, I think it's an exciting time to be in the markets. If you want to see what I'm buying and selling and talk to me and my other community members, you can find me using the link down in the description over at the Patreon. Come on over and join us. We'd absolutely love to have you over there. Also, if you learn to do technical analysis like I do and learn to up your trading game, there's a link for a technical analysis trading course down in the description of this video as well. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.